requesting clearance for takeoff. Dan Johnson, are we cleared for takeoff?
Webinar is now streaming live, so there we go.
Go for it, Jen.
Give me 1 second. I've lost my screens. Mostly the cheat sheet. Here it is. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Facility and Rec Committee meeting of the Park District Highland Park is called to order on Wednesday, February 9th, 2022 at 5:01 p.m. Pursuant to Section 70 of the Open Meetings Act, the President of the Board of Park Commissioners has made a finding that it is not practical or prudent to hold in-person meetings because of the COVID-19 public health emergency. Neither the elected officials nor the public will be allowed to attend regular or committee meetings in person, but will participate virtually. Links to the virtual meeting can be found on the Park District website. Roxanne, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Freeman.
Here.
President Ruttenberg.
I'm here.
Okay, two out of 3 ain't bad. Executive Director Romes, do we have any additions to the agenda today?
We do not.
Great. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak, or anyone from the public attending the meeting?
There is nobody from the public attending the meeting.
Okay, we'll move to a motion to approve the Facility and Recreation Committee meeting minutes from January 20th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second? All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, first order of business is an update Centennial Ice Arena project. Manager Amalia Schwartz to present.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay, share screen. Okay. Can you see my screen? It should say Centennial Ice Arena Facility Renovation Update.
Yes, it
I
does.
see it.
All right. So tonight we're going to report back. Staff has been busy responding to the feedback we heard at the January Facility and Recreation Committee. And so tonight we're here to bring an update and share where we're at and where we are hoping to go. So I'm going to review 3 things. I'm going to run through our drainage solutions, some of the alternatives we have looked at, and then talk about some site improvements, just directly answering some of the questions we got last month. I'll talk about some of the interior cost savings we've explored and our recommendations with that, and our exterior options and cost analysis and our recommendations. So I'm going to start with the drainage. And I know I reviewed some of this and May did at the committee meeting, but it's been a month and I want to kind of start by sharing some context here. So at the screen, the top is north. This is Centennial Ice Arena. This is the proposed plan. So that's why you're seeing the turnaround and not what's currently existing. So to the north, south, east, west, we know, and which May has shared, is we're receiving a lot of water coming from the west, and it's all coming here. I'm going to show you where, I'm going to highlight some of the context here, which is really our givens and what we're working around. We have an access path that runs around the building. Oops, can you guys hold on a second? I have a new computer and the docking system doesn't work all the time. Sorry.
Last we saw was the outline of the path in red.
I know. Hold on 1 second.
And it was really exciting.
I know it's all very exciting. Hold on 1 second. It truly is. I don't mean to be sarcastic. Just threw me off. Give me 1 second. All right, I am all set here. So share screen, this one, share. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have the access path, which is runs around the building. It is needs to be there for fire code because we have a shed, which I'm not showing because otherwise you would make no, it would be so far zoomed out, you wouldn't make any sense of it. But there is a shed which is used for storage right now, which per fire code, we have to have an access path that goes around that. This area to the west, there's a big piece of property, which we talked about at our last meeting. Why aren't we using, it's just woodland, there's nothing there. It was identified in our 2005 natural area studies as a flatwood remnant, which has a rare combination of soils, and it has historic oaks, a remnant ground cover, and it was been identified as something, as an area to be protected and further investigated. We have this area to the north, which is also identified in that study, a little not as high up on the ranking, but it is another flatwood remnant, and it has 22 trees, 21 which are from the oak species. There is one black cherry tree, and 18 of those trees are key trees following the city ordinance. We have a water main that runs around the building to the north and to the east. We have a fiber optic line that also runs around the building. This is the door that runs to, or that is the emergency access to the gymnastics room. This is one of our flooding problems, this flooding areas. This door to the west is the access to the rink. So this is direct connection to the mechanical room. We have a generator which supports our ice. And we have a cooling tower and other mechanicals that are fenced in right here. And this door and this location of this door is critical for operations. The mechanical room is right here. So what they need quick access between the two rooms. Okay, one more thing that I want to touch on, and I can talk a little bit more about this, but when the issue is when water comes into the arena, it could go into a trench, which runs along, and I apologize, it's not on here, but it runs along the west side of the building, the entire west side of the building, starting here, all the way down. And it's an underground trench that has the pipe that feeds the glycol from the compressor system to the ice mat. That pipe is like -18 degrees. So if water gets in there within minutes, that water is freezing, which could heave the pipes. So what happens now is that staff are using sandbags to prevent water from coming in. Though we know that Northeast Illinois, and this is reported by NOAA, the EPA, number of agencies, that climate change, how it's impacting us locally, is increased precipitation, increased flooding. So we're getting heavier rainstorms, so more rain in shorter amounts of time. So when we're the last storm that staff shared was last September, I believe. And when that happens, it's a scramble to get to pump the water out, and then they're just bringing it to the drain in the Zamboni room and dumping it there, and just to make sure it doesn't freeze. So they're just kind of moving back and forth. Sandbags help to slow the water, but when it's coming down so quickly, and if it happens at night when they're just have one staff there, that's when it can become a problem. They also mentioned that when water gets into the gymnastics room, it's a sand subbase, which is a remnant of the ice rink that used to be there. And so if water gets in, that's when mold can grow and other problems can develop. So we're working around all of these givens to try to figure out how to address this water. And so Gay Walt, and this is again the plan that we showed you last week. And so I'm going to start there, but then I'm going to show you some of the alternatives that we looked at. Has two pipes running north and south to collect the water. They flow underground and they're discharging the water away from the building to existing systems. This one to the north has to go underground here to protect the path. It's going underground and connecting to a structure here, which connects to an existing system. The highlights are showing you different sections. So this green is, it's almost directly required because of the turnaround. And this yellow line is what is a direct response to the drainage problem. Sorry if that, so the yellow is to address the drainage problem. The green is to just respond to the new water that we have to get funnel away from the turnaround.
Amalia?
Yes.
On the screen, I see a purple line and a green line, but no yellow line.
Oh, okay. It's the yellow is not really showing up. Thanks for mentioning that. So
Oh,
I'm
it's that one.
gonna
Okay.
use my, yeah. Do you see it
Got
right
it.
here?
Yes.
Okay. So the purple line is going south, and that is also assuming the given that we have to keep that access path. And again, that's due to fire code. And that goes along the entire length of the building around and then discharges into an existing wetland. All right, so that's what we're proposing. Now we looked at other alternates and I want to share those with you. So one of the alternates that we talked about was, can we do a trench? Do we have to use all this pipe? So we looked at that. We still need, okay, so let me start by orienting you, and the suggestion from Jeff. So thank you, Jeff. I know there's a lot of lines going on here. The top is north. So this outline is the building. This is that yellow line that we were just talking about. Here's the start of that turnaround. Are you oriented? Okay. So we still need this path going underneath the access path, because if flood waters are just flowing across there, it's going to erode that path, which we need to maintain. We could then get rid of this part of the pipe, regrade this area so you can see her blue lines, come to this structure, this inlet, but then it has to go underground again and re-pick up on that system because it needs to go under the turnaround. So by doing this, we're getting rid of some pipe, and that could be a decrease in the drainage costs, the scope, by $11,000. But that increases our cost because if we do this, we need to relocate this generator. This generator, like I said, supports the ice. Its location right now is for maximum utility. The farther away you move that generator, the more, and because I'm not an engineer, a mechanical engineer, I'm going to use my term, which is waters down the the amount of energy that it's providing to the building. This is also, it needs to be away from the building a certain amount. So this is the minimum or the max it can be away, or the minimum it can be away from the building. So this has been identified as the best place for the generator. We could explore relocating that generator, but we estimate that cost to be about $100,000. Additionally, if you were to move a generator, in our staff's experience, that the generator never settles. So it's just going to continue to have maintenance issues. If we do this trench, we will also need to relocate the fiber optic line. And that is estimated around $50,000. So this option takes out some of the pipe, but it's increasing our cost by estimated cost of $139,000. So we're going back to this proposed drainage option, but we know that budget is a problem. And so we're trying to think about other ways that we can address this. And so when we talked with Gaywell Hamilton, we can think about this drainage solution in two components. So I'm going to go back to my highlights. We have the yellow line, which is to the north. That would cost about $84,000. The purple line to the south, would cost about $122,000. Doing both of them would be the maximum amount of coverage to collect the water in major rainstorms. But if we were to install one of them, it would be still a help to reduce the amount of water that's flowing to those doors. So it would reduce the amount of water that's making its way to the building. So that is an option, and we are looking to bid these as alternates so that we can see how bids come in and make this give the information to the board so that you can make an educated decision. I also want to mention that the committee meeting in January really pushed the staff to look at some other alternatives, and so and push our givens and really question our constraints. And so one of the constraints that I mentioned was this access route, and so we started thinking, well, do we really need that access route? Do we need that shed anymore? And can we use that area to make a trench or some other type of improvement that is a little bit more cost efficient? Staff thinks that we can find a place for storage. So we could look at abandoning the use of that building. We're still trying to get some, just confirm that we don't need access for any other purpose for Centennial, that access route is purely for that shed. If that's the case, then we can continue to explore some other options, because that opens up some alternatives for how we can bring water south that doesn't just need to be a pipe. But the constraints today that we know of today, this is the most, what this team sees as an efficient and effective option to keep the water away from the building. So I will stop there, and I will.
So Amalia,
Yeah.
If we do this, we will have some assurance that we don't need sandbags and that we will protect the building from flooding.
Yes. I mean, we never can say for sure, but it will reduce the amount of water it won't come at the same rate as it's coming now, and the stress on staff.
It might be good until we get the 3 feet of water that makes it impossible to get to the rec center kind of flood, huh? Remember that? Do you remember that when we couldn't get to the rec center?
I don't. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't catch that reference.
Well, I'll give my opinion. My opinion is doing it half-hearted is halfway to the solution. If we're going to solve the problem, we should solve the problem. And I know it's $200,000 more than we anticipated, but half measures always wind up as half measures. That would be my opinion.
Yeah, I have to agree with Barney here. And am I right to say the rate at which water enters right now during a storm would be rushing water?
Yeah, and we can send you, I apologize. I meant to put a video in here. We can share with you a video. It is pretty surprising on those. I mean, they're what we call like those 100-year storms, right? But the 100-year storms are now like annual storms. Yeah. So yeah, it's not every time it rains, but it's those times that it rains when it's coming down, so fast. And if it comes, what Tony was sharing with me, our facility manager, facility maintenance manager, is that if it happens like at midnight or 11, when they have one staff person who's running back and forth from the desk to the, pumping out water, that's where it can get challenging. Or if it even happens in the middle of the night where somebody might not be there to respond quick enough.
Do we have like a sump and an ejector? I know those are all more modern elements, but are there drain tiles? What else is in there that helps?
To help the water get out. I can ask that question. I don't know off the top of my head, and I don't want to respond with bad information. So let me check on that. I do know that I think it's primarily the temperature that pipe needs to be kept at that just makes it challenging if water, it's just the speed at which it freezes.
Yep. So I agree with Barney. Why go halfway?
Yeah, thank you, Jen. My opinion would be, I see the $200,000, but if, as Jen is saying, maybe an ejector pump, maybe an X and a Y, if we're going to do this, we should do it 99% effective, and there's always a 1%. But and as I'm going back in time, there were 3 feet of water standing in the parking lot at the rec center at one point. But let's keep pressing for possible savings, but let's not go on the cheap. Let's do it the right way that is as effective as we can possibly make it. If it costs $250, it's $250. At least we know we're doing the right thing.
Great. I have that feedback about the injector pipe and the drain tiles, and I'll get back to you guys on that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm pretty certain that Mitch remembers that flood, as I do recall him trying to shovel out buckets of water in the building when there was nowhere to put it.
Wait. Okay. Do you remember? Across the street is and I'll just take a minute of our time. Across the street is the animal clinic, and they have the big, deep retention pond right to the south of the rec center.
Cairo.
The water was completely over the top and 2 feet higher than the top of the retention pond.
Right.
Let's not, let's try to avoid that inside the building.
Precisely. Okay.
All right. So one of the other questions that we talked about that was site related is about lighting. So this is our photometric plan. I know that you can't see the numbers here, but what I want to share here, these blue dots are the existing lights. Our plan is to add a lot more lights. I'm sorry, I didn't count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lights in the south lot and 3 lights in the turnaround. We've talked with our lighting consultant, and the lighting plan follows the Illuminating Engineering Society standards and City of Highland Park code. And he shared that the average foot candles proposed at Centennial is 1.1 foot candles. And so when you look at this closer, you'll see all the decimal numbers. And that's 5 times the recommended minimum. We've asked them if they can increase the lighting because we know that that's a problem here. But if we were to increase the lighting at this site, that would put the average foot candle above the the city's maximum average. So, I mean, I think to think about this, they've lit this parking lot as much as they can, and we really can't go anymore without asking for variances. Though I will confirm that it also meets the city's dark sky ordinance. So we are complying with all ordinances. We are doing our best to keep this parking lot lit because we've heard that from board, we've heard that from staff, that is a priority in this project. So this is the south lot and then the north lot. So you'll know that you've been there, two light poles. We're looking at adding additional 7 light poles.
Good. Can we go back to the other picture for a minute?
Sure.
And these are all, post mounted, 6 feet or 8 feet up in the air kind of lights, right?
Yes.
Do we want to give some consideration to putting in some smaller bollard lights that are just shedding a little bit more light in some critical areas?
Sure, I can talk with the lighting consultant about adding bollards.
Don't we have those at Sunset Valley?
Yeah, we have them at the rec center too, actually, up the walkway.
So again, I'm just going back to the days of the kids running with their hockey bags, and they're 8 and 10, 12 years old. They're not looking.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, we've been lucky. So whatever we can do, if there's some a few more bollard lights or something that don't violate codes, that'd be a great thing.
I will ask that question.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so the other question that we got was around the turnaround. So this image to the left is an earlier geometric analysis that we did, and these lines here show a fire truck. So you can see the geometry of a fire truck moving around the turnaround. You can see that even a fire truck can make this turnaround while 5 cars are queued up for pickup. We're continuing that. So this was an earlier geometry analysis that we did. This is kind of a section of our plan. So you can see the continuing to keep those 5 cars queued while continuing a width that allows for a fire truck to make that turn.
Good, good, good.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk about some of how this impacts our budget. I didn't have a slide on it, but we did also explore some value engineering in our building. Things like, do we use the concrete, the CMU walls versus the drywall? Looking at where we might be able to, drywall's cheaper, so where can we put drywall instead of CMU? We looked at taking out some interior glazing, like side light windows on our doors, just different things that wouldn't reduce the scope or make any sort of change on what we're trying to achieve in the interior finishes or product, but trying to see if there's ways that we can find some savings in the building. So we were able to find about $59,000 in savings in the building. I'm showing here that which I know is contrary to what we just discussed, but I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of what the amount of savings we could find. But so if we were to just do one portion of that drainage section, the estimates right now, we could reduce by 122 if we weren't to do the south. If we were to take out the north parking lot, we could come down about 241 for the resurfacing and 70,000 for the lights. So we can find some savings at this point. We're continuing to do value engineering throughout this project. But at this point, right now we're thinking we can estimate about a savings of close to $500,000. That would still keep the project over about $243,000, though that does include the $300,000 contingency. So we were able to find a number of savings and different alternates and ways to position the district when we bid, so that the board has options and can make the best, you have options is basically what I'm trying to say.
That's great.
All right.
Now, let me go back to my mantra that I've used before. And when I say I want to be cheap and don't spend money, but we really, if we're going to do it, we should come up with a product that people who go in there say, wow, I can't believe what you've done here. And if it means spending another few dollars on some more glass, or if it means spending something, some, materials or something, I don't want us to come away with a, you did a building,
Yeah. I hear you. I want to I want to make sure that I'm clear with the value engineering of the building. When we removed some glazing, it actually was more of a functional. We found through operations that they actually didn't want more viewing in. And the drywall from the CMU, you wouldn't even be able to see it, would be covered by lockers. So there's just ways we can,
Okay.
We're not really taking away, like you said, we hear that from the board. And so we're just trying to find those ways that, we can, every dollar counts. So if we can take some things out that are, we don't think are necessary, we were able to do that.
Okay.
And we'll continue that conversation with Woodhouse as we proceed through construction documents.
Great. And speaking for Jen and for me, you can take my entire park district salary and apply it to this.
Every penny, man.
Every penny.
Okay, so then I want to move to the exterior. We got some feedback from the committee last month, and I want to bring these back because we were able to put some dollars to these options. And I think that'll help us move this process along and really understand why you like a certain iteration and what you don't like about the other, so we can keep moving. So this option down where my cursor is, we heard that I think the committee seemed to lean towards this in our last meeting. We were able to put some pricing to that, and that's about $135,000 over what was priced. What was priced is what my cursor is over right now, the bottom right. So kind of like a glass open structure. We could save dollars by taking away the overhang. I kept this here because that just showed kind of like the iterations, and this idea of signage and flowing into the existing facade. So I guess one of the things I'm hearing from the feedback that I'm hearing is that, well, actually, let me stop there. Let me turn that back just so I can collect the feedback, and then I can tell you kind of where we're thinking and where we want to go.
I gave a lot of feedback, but I'm happy to give it a little more constructively here. Is that the cost estimated design I thought looked a little unfinished, and the way that I like the idea of the overhang, mostly because I was just thinking of a lot of the times when we've gone into Centennial, it's like sleeting and there are lots of kids with hockey bags in front of us, so we're just waiting for them to get through the door, and it just feels like an overhang is a nice thing to have that makes sense. But I think it was more that it looks a little unfinished at the top. So
I'm going to put my cursor so that I can make sure that when you say the top, are you talking about here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And those two, it's like not super thoughtfully constructed. And
you mean these?
Yeah, little things holding it
cables.
on. Yeah, the cables.
Okay.
So it just looked like we were trying to find a solution to make this top piece flow, and it wasn't really working.
Sure.
I really actually think the glass all the way up.
This one?
Yeah. Why does that look so different to me?
It's just a different way of rendering it.
But is it really just the cost estimated design minus the overhang at all?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's just like the white at the top or something. And this $38,000 one looked more like glass going all the way up. And when I saw the rendering of it sort of almost had like a ribbon around the top, this upper corner one. I didn't like the ribbon idea of it, but something more boxy I thought was interesting. So that's kind of why I landed around here with the one with the big overhang.
Okay.
It's
That's
interesting.
Really helpful.
Personally, I think an overhang of some sort, we need to finish it. And, I'm not an architect. I don't know the cost of materials, but we need to finish the entrance and not just have a glass door.
Okay.
Now, there might be some other alternatives that our folks can come up with. Perhaps an open trellis, or, I don't know what's best, but you're right. If you're standing there and it's snowing and sleeting and you're with a bunch of kids and you're going in, you would like to wait, but we need something. We need something to finish it. I mean, it just doesn't look finished in either of the top two, and the one and that one where your cursor is still looks unfinished.
Okay.
It's funny because I was saying to Brian Romes when I talked to him last time, I don't love the Evanston ice arena. And I think some of it has to do with the feeling of walking up to it. And it's just kind of like you open the door to a glacier and you walk in, so and a lot of that's just like a personal feeling. So it's hard to say. It's an aesthetic thing, sure. But I think I'm with Barney on it just kind of doesn't look quite done.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that an overhang is important. I'm also hearing this kind of idea of the building looking unfinished a little bit. And that's something that our team has talked about, and we hear from Woodhouse also. This is a building that used to be like a pole barn, like a very utilitarian looking building. And then when it was renovated, they added this fascia. It's kind of, Andy today called it a hat. So I'm going to use his term. Thank you, Andy. So it's kind of making the building look a little bit nicer. And then the way Andy explained it was, now we're kind of coming in to enhance the enhancement. So that's something that their team has been thinking about. And that was their thought with the ribbon. And they're thinking about all these different ways that we can kind of especially this joint, because this part of the building still looks like the barn.
Yep.
This joint right here is where you kind of see it the most. And so their
That's why
team,
the longer, that longer
Right.
awning just kind of makes your eye
Hides
go
it.
that way instead of looking at like, oh.
So
Yeah.
so here's what I could do. Ready for this one? For Mr. Designer here? We cut off the length of the awning at the edge of the building. And on the vertical strip that goes straight down between the drain and the end of the wall,
Mhm.
that area, that's where we put up a sign that going vertically that says Centennial. We do some kind of design element that captures, because I know people say, well, you know, it's Centennial, but this is a place where we could do something to hide the ugliness of the drain. And we could put up some kind of interesting detail that will go to the, hey, that looks like a whole new building kind of thing. All right, that's my dumb idea.
Well, so I'm going to pass all this feedback on to Woodhouse Tanucci. Our goal is to really kind of move this forward quickly. Not, we want to be thoughtful about it too. So there's ways that we can keep moving with the interiors. It's almost to think about them as two separate projects, though they're one, but they can move forward with the construction documents on the interior while we're still kind of fine tuning and refining what this exterior looks like.
Good.
So we
Good.
can, I hear we want an overhang. We want something that makes this look finished. But we also want to stay closer to the budget. So but I'm also hearing that if there is some additional cost, we can come to you guys. I think I'm hearing that the committee is interested in doing this right, if for lack of a better way to say that. So we'll come back with some other options and some
Okay.
prices,
Yeah.
so that we can keep this moving.
And what you said is we want to do it right. Again, it's let's not just say, okay, we're going to Centennial. They spent a lot of money, big deal. So it's something that will stand out. And the entrance does a lot to do that, but as I think we're all kind of saying, it's sort of unfinished.
Okay. All right. That is all that I have. I hope that I answered or responded to the questions that were brought up last committee meeting. So I guess I have a next step slide, but it's really, we're proceeding with construction documents and permitting. And we're hoping to go for bid in April.
Super. Thank you. Great.
All right, I'm going to stop share here. Oh, but I think I'm next.
You're muted.
So the Westridge Park Site and Building update, Manager Schwartz to present.
All right, give me 1 second here. I thought about putting them all in one PowerPoint, so I didn't have to do this.
But no,
But
you
I
thought you
didn't.
would do it differently.
Okay, and I apologize. I was a little cut on time, but so I didn't fill in the slide, but I'll be able to
It's okay.
talk
Don't
through
worry.
this.
Take us through it.
Okay, so we were able to get a updated cost from Halliburton Root. We shared with you the original, not original, but the first iteration of the proposal that they shared with us. We've since done some research looking at the scope items. We've looked at what other districts and agencies are paying for similar type of work, so that we could evaluate the proposal. So I'm going to run through real quick the highlights of the proposal. I think about it in two boxes. So there's the pre-design work and then there's the design work. So I'm going to start with the pre-design. There are 3 steps in the pre-design. There's the visioning and strategic planning services. And the goal here is really, and I apologize for just reading it, but it's well written here, to reestablish the Westridge Center vision and alignment with Greenprint Master Plan and Sportsfield Master Plan. So it's really just confirming the direction that we're going. The second step is a site selection service. And we've talked at some of our previous facility committee meetings, where is the right place for this building? Does it go where it is now? Is it going to the south part of the parcel? So this step would be running through that analysis to identify the best place and the pros and cons of the various siting of the building. I'll share that in this effort, we're also still asking that question, which we started to talk about, which was partial renovation, all new build. So that's part of that conversation at this point as well. The third step is programming, planning, and preliminary design services. In this section, I see it as it's when we really start to engage the community. It's when we really start to put together some concepts, and it's the intent here is to really position the district well before we go for design review and city approval processes. So that is all pre-design. There's the next step, which is the design, the formal design, documentation and administration. And that's the typical steps: schematic design, design development, construction documents, permitting, bid coordination, and construction admin. So that's kind of the standard. The current proposal, the one that we're presenting today, is $58,000 for that pre-design. And I'm going to go off memory here, but maybe Jeff or Brian can correct me if you have it pulled up. The initial proposal was around 122 some thousand. So we're cutting that cost. One of the things we've also done is we've refined the scope. So we were able, it's not that we're
Hear that noise?
It's not that we're not kind of like cutting anything just to save money. We were able to really work with Halliburton Root and refine our scope to what we actually need. So the initial one had a more robust kind of master planning as the first step. We feel that we've done a lot of that planning, and what we really need is to confirm that with Halliburton Root.
So Amalia, excuse me for asking, this is where we tell them we want gymnastics, we want
it's confirming
kids
all
programs,
of that.
We want offices. Got it.
Yes. So we're confirming program, we're confirming our direction, gymnastics moving to Westridge, we're confirming partial renovation, new construction. Are we building it on top of are we demolishing and building new on the same spot? Are we looking somewhere else on the site? Really confirming size. That will continue through schematic design, but it's all of that refinement of really getting a solid need to move us into schematic planning. So the initial proposal was 8.5% of construction value, and the current proposal is 8%. So we were able to bring that down, and that seems to be standard with what other, in the range of what is standard of what other projects are being, the cost of design for other projects at this cost, at this project level.
I think you did a good job.
Great. So I guess our next step is to present this at the at the Finance Committee on the 16th. We are hoping to, our target, though it's going to depend on contract negotiations and really getting that contract together, would be to get that contract approved either by the end of this month or early in March.
Excellent.
Okay. I'm then going to share our update on the CM, and I don't have a slide for this, but I'm just going to talk through that. We are in the selection process right now. We received 6 proposals. We interviewed 4 CM firms. We interviewed WB Olson. We interviewed Gilbane. We interviewed White Incorporated, and we interviewed Lamp Incorporated. we have, those interviews were Monday and Tuesday. So we are working through references. We are reviewing our interview notes to select firms and getting some more information from them so that we can present proposals to the Finance Committee next week.
Malia, why do you think LAMP came in so much less than the others?
I don't know. I think it may have been a different interpretation of the level of estimating. I will say that we heard pretty loud and clear from the different firms that it's probably more bang for the district's buck to do a lump sum for pre-construction. And I was using this term earlier. I'm almost calling it at this point like pre-design pre-construction. We're still so early in the project, but that a lump sum would probably be to our benefit, which is our hope is to go back, or our plan, I should say, is to go back to get a proposal for that lump sum so that we can evaluate our top two choices and present that to the committee, to the Finance Committee.
Who are your top two choices?
We are looking at, can I say that? It's more, Brian and Jeff, did we confirm that yet?
Well, we can certainly talk contract negotiation terms in closed session, or we can, because obviously we're negotiating with all the firms at this point. We're not at the.
Oh, you are working with all of them?
We haven't communicated to any of them that they're our top two choices. So, I mean,
okay. Then don't answer the question.
Yeah.
I'll say we're also still going through references. So I think we've all talked, but I don't. Yeah.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I thought that we had you moved past that, but that's
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, I may have.
No, that's okay. Don't worry, we got time. Okay.
That is all I have on Westridge.
Great. I don't have any other questions, Barney.
No.
Okay, great.
Good.
Executive Director Rones, is there any other business from staff or the board, Barney, that we need to discuss?
None from staff.
I'm good.
I'm good too.
Yeah, going back to the Centennial just for a minute. The drainage, it has to be, and then at the end of the day, if we just come back with a simple vanilla box again, and we don't do something that the community says, wow, you really gave us a great ice rink, it's almost like, so live with the old thing. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So should I move to adjourn?
Agreed. Did anyone from the public join at any point who may want to address the board?
Let's see, there is nobody from the public.
Great. We will not be going into closed session. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Yep.
Second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Right, you want to
Great.
take a break and then we'll reconvene at 6, I guess, same length.